If you've felt your heart race because of an encouraging word someone has said, or felt the blow to your stomach because of somebody who was rude to you, then you have personally experienced words influencing your body. I want my audience to understand the powerful effect that words can have on the health or deterioration of the human body. I have not only developed a great interest in this subject for the past few years, I've done a great deal of study on it, and personally seen an increase in health in my own life because of my choice to use words wisely. We all have the power to speak, we all have a brain, and we all have a body. And I believe that this information that I'm about to share will help the audience understand how words can be used to encourage or discourage health in themselves and in those around them. I believe that having more knowledge about the effects that words can have can prevent bad health in our bodies and encourage growth and revitalization as we go through life. In this presentation, I will explain the positive and negative effects that words have on the brain, how the brain in turn affects the body, and how the audience can use this information for their benefit. Let's begin first on how words affect the structure of the brain. Dr. Andrew Newberg and Mark Robert Waldman wrote a book called How Words Can Change Your Brain. And in this book, they offer information on how our brain responds to different words and different tones. And according to their studies, the functionality of our brain is strengthened when encouraging words are spoken. And on the contrary, when negative language is spoken, it can actually disturb the genes that normally produce neurochemicals that prevent stress. And when angry words are spoken, this increases hormones and neurotransmitters that produce stress, and the functionality of our brain is greatly hindered because of this action. According to a study done by the Gallup Organization and the Queen's School of Business, when workers become disengaged because of stress in the workplace, there are 49% more accidents, 18% less productivity, and 60% more mistakes or errors that are made. And even though these are just workplace statistics, they can easily be compared to the functionality of our brain in everyday life. Now that we've touched on how words affect the brain, let's talk about how the brain can in turn affect the body. Joan Esherick talks about the short-term and long-term stress in her book effect that stress has on the body in her book, Balancing Act. We have all experienced the jolt in our body that short-term stress causes, whether that be manifested in increased heart rate or sweaty hands or tension in the muscles. According to Esherick's research, long-term stress can lead to far more serious issues, and just a few examples of these are ulcers or asthma or a weakened immune system, which can encourage disease or infection in the body. Insomnia is also a result of stress because the brain loses its ability to produce enough serotonin, which is the chemical that our body needs to sleep. To put it in perspective, when the brain is lacking serotonin, it's like trying to fall asleep in a cold house without a warm blanket. And even though you're trying to fall asleep, you just can't without something so important, or it's very difficult at least. And as we transition now from the negative effect that stress has on the body, let's look at how the body flourishes when stress is reduced because of positive words. In an article from Science News, Harvard psychologist Ellen Langer states, "The mind and body are one, and we all have far more control over our health and well-being than we realize. Speaking kind words over ourselves and others can help to reduce the brain's production of the hormones and neurotransmitters that I talked about earlier that cause stress and dysfunction in the body. And as our brain produces a healthy balance of hormones and neurochemicals, stress is reduced and illnesses and diseases can be prevented. I have personally seen the benefits of speaking positively over myself and how my mind and body respond well to kind words instead of self-condemning words. As an example, and I'm sure we've all done this, in high school I used to jokingly call myself trash or useless, and even though I was joking, my subconscious began to believe it, and over time, I began to take that on in my mind and in my body, and I struggled a lot in that time. And as soon as I realized my bad habit, I turned it around and I started to speak positive words. And I'm not perfect, but even just doing your best, speaking positive words helps truly change my countenance and transform it, and I've just felt better a lot since then. So in conclusion, I wish I would have had this information much sooner in my life, and especially through my mid-teenage years. I'm glad, however, that it's never too late to start on an upward path. You've learned about the positive and negative effects that words have on the brain, how the brain in turn affects the body, and how you can use this information to benefit your own body. By having an accurate picture of the connection between words, mind, and body, one can effectively use this knowledge to encourage health and flourishing in themselves and in others.